Honestly, like, how do people greet people on YouTube? Let's just make it natural. You're my friends. I actually get very excited to talk to people on YouTube because I'm like, I'm just talking to my friends, you know? Don't mind the shoes in the background. I don't want to move them right now. Um, I thought I would jump on here and make a video because last time I got a question about, you know, being a mortgage broker here in British Columbia, Canada, and I thought I'd make a video because, to be honest, when I was doing my research and looking like to figure out, I couldn't find anything online. I don't think I checked YouTube at the time, but I was having a lot of conversations with many mortgage brokers, both experienced brokers, you know, to ask them like, what kind of questions should I ask? Like, what do I need to know? And also other brokers to decide whether I would want to join their team. So if you're interested in learning more about what it's like to become a mortgage broker here in BC, how much mortgage and things like that, then stay tuned. That's what this video is about. Okay, so one of the questions I can't find, my laptop's not working right now, so I can't find the questions, but one of the questions that I do remember being asked in the video from the comments is, how much do mortgage brokers make? Well, mortgage brokers are different than mortgage specialists. Mortgage brokers are the ones that work independently for themselves, so they work for a brokerage. So there's a number of us that work for a brokerage, and then there's mortgage specialists, they work for a bank. The main difference is that the mortgage specialists are working for a bank. They only have access to one product, that bank's product, whereas us mortgage brokers, we have access to multiple lenders, right? So if you're working for a bank, I don't know too much of it, you'll have to do your own research. My understanding is when you're working for a bank, you get a salary and then you get a commission, but mortgage specialists don't get as paid as much as mortgage brokers. Us mortgage brokers, if you're working for yourself as an independent broker, they're gonna, if you might hear people say, oh, you're an independent broker, you're a mortgage specialist. An independent broker is on 100% commission, so you eat what you kill. There's obviously pros to that and there's cons to that. I'm just gonna take off my slippers because I'm getting really warm. There's pros to that and the cons to that. The pro is that you get what you put into it. The con is also you get what you put into it. So if you feel like doing stuff like, you know, feeling super motivated and whatnot, then you're increasing, I'm not saying you're guaranteed, you're increasing your chances of closing more files and helping more families with their mortgages. But if, you know, life gets busy and whatnot, then you're not going to be able to focus on your business, then obviously you're not going to make as much. So it depends. I know some people who make $100,000 or maybe even less than that. I know people who make $1 million. So it really is up to you. And you, like you said, you get what you put into it, how much networking you do, how much work you, how educated like you are about your product and whatnot. Because one thing I've noticed and that I appreciate as well in this business is that there's always something new. And like, you're not gonna be bored, okay? I don't know about you, but I get bored easily. In this business, you do not get bored. There's like some kind of news coming out every day, the tariffs, this, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, let's just, yeah, there will always be information, but you can either look at it as like overwhelming, because at the beginning I used to get overwhelmed, not gonna lie. Now you know, you can pay attention to the news and everything as well, but you can also use it like, okay, this is what's happening, this is how I could help my clients and whatnot. Because side note, whatever you see on the news, you got to learn to read between the lines, because there can always be an opportunity, depending on your perspective and whatnot. So that's number one. Well, I know it's already spring. Yesterday was kind of cool or whatever, but it's starting to warm up, so it's really warm in here. I just opened up the balcony. And the second thing is that what is the process of getting, you know, becoming a mortgage broker? Well, you ought to first register with University of British Columbia. University of British Columbia is the only one that offers this course. So you register for the course, and it's an online self-paced course. It is up to you how long you decide to do this course in. They give you, I think, a maximum of 2 years. And so you register for the course, and you're supposed to do, when you register, you're supposed to submit 2 quizzes per week. And they're for 10 weeks, so total of 20 quizzes. Once you complete that, after 10 weeks, then you have the ability to register for an exam. If you don't do any of those quizzes, you're not going to be able to register for the exam. So make sure you get that done. And then you go at your pace, you know, so you go and you write the exam. Then after that, you can choose, or even before that, you can choose to decide where you're gonna hang your license, because you're not actually licensed when you pass the exam. You become licensed when you choose which brokerage you're gonna hang your license. So it's well, for realtors and mortgage brokers. So I think for realtors it's a longer process, but for mortgage brokers, let's say you pass the exam. Like when I passed my exam, after I passed, and I was like, okay, let me decide which brokerage I want to work for and whatnot, because when you are choosing to work, hang your license at a brokerage, it does and it doesn't really matter where you hang your license. To me, it mattered because for me, reputation is important. Make sure that the reputation is good, and who is it that I'm working with, and whatnot. And ultimately, when you're interviewing with these brokerages, and I would always say it's a two-way interview, right? So you are interviewing them as much as they are interviewing you. And the reason why I say you're also interviewing them is because you're giving them a split of your commission, right? Because like I said, remember, it's 100% commission. And you, based off that, you can just, and other things, you can decide where you want to hang your license. I know some people who, didn't do as much research as I did, and they just hung their license and they were okay. Others, they didn't do research, they hung their license, they had to make a switch and whatnot. Ideally, in a perfect world, you would choose a brokerage where you're happy and you don't have to switch, right? Because if you are not very happy for one reason or another and you have to make a switch, it costs time and money, because you would have to then learn everything from the other brokerage and whatnot, and as opposed to using that time towards building your business. So that's not very ideal. So if you could, I would suggest, do your research ahead of time, figure out what is the best fit for you, and then go from there. You may or may not have heard this one, but I've heard some people say like, oh, if you're not a numbers person, don't become a mortgage broker. I don't really agree with that, to be honest, because I'm not necessarily a numbers person. I just like people and I just like helping people, right? So it's for me, and like a lot of other successful mortgage brokers that I know, for them it's not about numbers and like being a math person or whatever. It's about like developing a relationship with their client, making sure that they're providing a valuable service to their client. So they're building that relationship, and where the client, after the file has been complete, is happy with the service to a point where they would be willing to refer you to someone else. So that is my goal, that is my intention, because when I'm working with my clients, that's what I want. I want to make sure that they're happy and to the best of my ability, and I've done everything that I could focus on, and I'm communicating, and so they're not wondering what's going on. That's really also very important. And yeah, I don't know what else to discuss in this video. If you have any other questions, let me know, because other questions might come up after watching this video. And if there's anything else you'd like to see, let me know. I'd be more than happy to make a video about it. I really do enjoy making these because I feel like I'm talking to a friend, and talking to a friend, like a friend or younger brother or sister or whoever, and I'm trying to guide them in this process. So if you're thinking of becoming a mortgage broker and you're not really sure where to start, I'm more than happy to have a conversation with you. Okay, one more thing that I wanted to mention that's not necessarily mortgage broker specific, but one advice that I would give is, if you are thinking of becoming a mortgage broker and you don't have your own setup in your previous job or whatever, they give you a work laptop, so then you have to buy your own. I highly recommend you buy the one that you're most comfortable with. If you're comfortable with PCs, go with PC. If you're comfortable with Macs, buy Mac. Stick to what you know, because you don't want to spend time learning the basic things or like getting comfortable with those things. That's something that I mean, there's pros and cons, because I am very used to PC, but I bought a Mac, and I don't love it. I like it. I've learned to like it. There's many benefits to having a Mac. So for example, I have an iPhone, and if I'm taking notes on my iPhone and I need to, I don't need to worry about copying, sending that to my email to myself or whatnot, that those notes will automatically show up in my notes app on my Mac, which is great. So like I said, I've learned to like it. But if you are a PC user and you're used to it and whatnot, I recommend sticking to what you know best, and just so you don't have to get comfortable with the new setup if you don't need to. That's a personal advice. Again, if there's anything else that I could cover, let me know. I'm more than happy to. And in the meantime, you let me know. Who do you know that's looking to buy, renew, refinance their property here in British Columbia, I would be more than happy to help them. And if you know someone else around Canada, I can connect them with one of our partners to make sure that they're um, taking I'm tired, it's the end of the day, are very well taken care of. And again, thank you for supporting, thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Share this video with someone who you think might benefit from watching it. And okay, bye bye.